Okay, so I just wanted to welcome everybody to today's presentation. Just a couple of housekeeping items. If you wanted to just keep yourselves on mute as the presentation's going on, and then feel free, you can unmute yourself to ask any questions, or if you wanted to use the text chat, you could. Brenda does have a list of some questions near the end also, and then write your questions down and Brenda is able to answer those for you. So I just wanted to welcome to the presentation Brenda Soucy, sorry, of Soucy Consulting. This is a topic that a lot of us have questioned about, importing and exporting. So we really appreciate you coming today and speaking to us. So I will hand it over to you.
Awesome. Thank you, Lori. And thank you to the PARO team for having me here today and meeting your members. And I can share this information if it can help anybody. That's what I love to do. So basically for the agenda for today, I'm going to tell you my background, my education, and a little bit of story about me, the challenges that you might be facing right now. And then I'll provide some exporting solutions and tools that you can quickly get at. And for someone's, it's also for doing a little bit of research and also being aware of what you're needing to look into and ask. At the end of the presentation, I want to take about 15 minutes to actually answer any questions questions that I can help you right away to get you, take you to the next step and to your business for export import. And then I'll leave you my contact information. So a little bit of my story is, this slide is not to impress you, but it's to impress upon you what you're looking for when you're looking for hiring a logistics coordinator. The one thing that I will speak to later is also you see a Certificate International Freight Forwarder Association, CIFA, will be your first one. But this is my background. Outside of my education and my experience in international logistics, as a child, I grew up in a family of, my parents own a transportation company. So they do import export in US and back. And so I grew up with it all, putting tarps on load to driving the trucks and to doing everything that they need. My dad would have wanted me to get my driver's license for my truck, but I never did because I was scared he was going to put me on the road. So, but I ventured into the same industry as they were, but I went international. So I graduated in 2001 for my undergrad in my postgrad in international business. And when I did that, I chose that college because the college had a co-op program. The co-op program led me to work for an international freight forwarding in Toronto, which some of you may know Kuehne+Nagel. They're a German company, they're 190 countries, and this company was providing a co-op program, which I started 6 months in air freight imports. I was receiving imports from all over the world, and I also learned how to work with customs brokers at that time. The second 6 months was air export. Air export brought me on Wednesdays and Fridays, consolidation days, to the actual warehouse to touch the cargo, put the paperwork on the cargo, put it on cookie sheets, go into the truck, and the truck would bring it to the airport. And for air export, I did location destinations that my colleagues didn't want to do, but for me was a challenge. I did letters of credits. I shipped to India. Some locations do still ship with donkeys. In China, there's so much different airports in China. You need to know the right. So that was a good challenge for me. I love air export. Then the next following 6 months was ocean export. So I've learned that aspect of it. Was too slow for me. The shipments were on my desk for 4 to 6 months or 2 to 3 months, and it didn't move fast enough for me. The co-op was projects. So projects is basically the mining industry, the Hatch, the EPCM, which are companies that they're going into a location, there's no infrastructure, and they want us to bring cargo there. So we did that. And one project that I actually won as a student was for Hatch. We had to bring cargo from Vienna, Canada, United States into Indonesia on a barge, all at the same time. So that extended my mind there, that I can do from home or from North Bay shipments from one country to the other. I don't need to be within that country when you know what you're doing. So we'll go back into that more later. But then I ended up in North Bay, and I worked for the aviation industry for 10 years. And the customer was Bombardier, and we were manufacturing the CL water bomber, the CL-415 water bombers. And this was the final line. So here, I still again continue working internationally with the buyers were international forestry, international ministries, and actually the armed forces, Malaysia, Morocco, Italy, France, Greece, and I work with them. And another aspect of that was, initially they hired me as a consultant to be doing their receiving and shipping, and then it led to a 10-year working there 10 years. So just imagine exporting an aircraft. We have cargo that's going on ships and air and stuff like that, goes through customs. But when an aircraft crosses the borders, it's in the air, but now it's not the cargo inside the aircraft that needs to go through customs. It's actually the aircraft at several locations where they land. They have to present their paperwork. So it was an interesting time. I loved it. And my recent one was the mining industry for Red Path. And Red Path I was a supervisor there. And Red Path has offices in Australia, Chile, Zambia, South Africa, Mongolia, and Indonesia. But outside of that, they also have external clients, which was in Kazakhstan, Belarus, and many other locations, also in the US. So for them, I did a lot, I worked with the procurement team, and I did a lot of the shipments myself. I didn't teach that to my team, but they would buy parts in China. I had to ship it to Zambia. They would buy Switzerland, parts in Switzerland, and I would ship it to Ulaanbaatar. And that goes into the procurement system as the quickest way and the fastest way to get parts when it's supposed to be there yesterday or the week before. So I did Sweden to Mexico. So you name it, I've experienced it all. So I have the experience and the knowledge to support you. So the challenges that you might be facing within your own business, you're starting, or you're in business for a while and you have new clients or whatsoever, and you receive a purchase order and you need to deliver it. Now what? Who is paying the freight? How would you know who's paying the freight, or the regulations and the laws around the shipping this? The other scenario, you might have some cargo, but it's at the entry customs into a country and it's stuck there, it's pending, it's not moving. Why is that? Is it the paperwork? Have you been notified, or it's been sitting there for a while, you did not know? The other ones that you might be challenges with your customs broker. Is it set up? And you've got goods at the border, but it's sitting there because you have not set up a customs broker. And why do we need a customs broker? The other one is the jargon of the industry. Every industry has its own jargon. And when you work with people in this industry, they will use like, okay, you want you want a container, but is it a SOC or a liner container? When you receive an invoice for air freight or ocean, do you know what you're reading and what you're paying as fees? And if you're paying it, or if it's your buyer or your shipper that's paying those fees, where's the borderline in that? The other one is what I was saying with Switzerland and Ulaanbaatar. Your distributor, it could be in the US, and the cargo needs to be at your customers and into another country, but it had to be there yesterday or the day before, or delivery is is tight. Do you think, or are the same freight forwarders, customs brokers, or even freight brokers, what is the difference between them and how they can best serve you? Is that something that it's not too clear for now, right now? Other challenges is you have a product and you're maybe using cardboard boxes or a skid or it's a crate. So when you do whatever you decide to use for packaging of your cargo, the cardboard box is fine. But if you're shipping internationally, even to the US, the skid and the wood has to be heat treated. So the plywood is already manufactured as heat treated product. However, if you're working with 2x4s, 4x4s, that type of product, it has to have a stamp on it. So if you are one of those exporters that are doing their own packaging and you're using wood, just be aware of that, and I'll give you the tool of where you can go and research that. So the other one is that do you have products that has the dangerous goods? Even to the lithium batteries inside your product, that is a dangerous goods product. And if you do have a dangerous goods, like, are you providing your SDS sheets, which is a safety data sheet, to all of your buyers, like that buys your product? So we need to question you need to look at your products and make sure that there's no dangerous goods. And if there's dangerous goods, I'll give you tools for that in the next slide. Again, who pays the freight, the costs, and what's the risk, the reliabilities, and who is liable for which part of the freight costs, and if there's any damages, like, or if there's any storage fees extra, who pays for that if anything goes wrong? We need to know how we can work best with that. What shipping worries are making you stay awake at night, basically? I want to know. And what is it costing you in extra fees, in time, and a height of frustrations? A little story of mine is that when I went into the mining industry, I did a sideline, bought a skincare line, which I was importing it from France. And when I purchased the license to import it for Canada, I had an exclusive distribution license. And I'm an experienced importer. I can do this. So I asked a question, but I asked the question to the wrong person. I asked the question to the person I was buying the product with that had this business for 20 years. I said, does Health Canada know, and it's registered with Health Canada, this product? And he said, no, don't worry, I've been importing it for 20 years and basically there's no problem there. But me being a new company with the same product, everything got stopped at the border in Canada. So half of my container of skincare, it was audited, inspected, and Health Canada came back, said none of these products or ingredients inside the product is registered with Health Canada. So you need to be aware of who to ask your questions to and the knowledgeable people, and who are those people. So that can also bring a lot of challenges and a lot of time, a lot of frustration, and a lot of costs that I, as an experienced importer, exporter, I had to go through myself. And I'm sure that you guys can relate to that for some of you. So for solutions and tools, the first one that I find very, very important is that Incoterms 2020. You can Google Incoterms 2020, and there's always going to be different charts, and it's going to show you, like, Incoterms 2020 is international commercial terms. So when a contract is discussed or a purchase order is cut, or there's somebody's buying goods, then there's some Incoterms in there that will tell you where the risk and the liability and who pays the freight. Some of them are insurance included. And it's either within Canada or international. So for Canada, if you're only shipping in within Canada, different provinces, like keep in mind, Incoterms 2020, there's 11 of them and 4 of them are only ocean. Not for trucking, not for air freight, it's only ocean. And one of them that I constantly see is FOB. FOB is ocean. So it's a free on board. So what happens there with Incoterms, let's just think that you're on the dock with the cargo and the person that's carrying that cargo from the dock onto the ship, if ever that cargo falls into the water between the dock and the vessel, who is responsible for replacing the cost for that product? It would be the shipper. Even though you're not the one, it's the terminal that made the mistake or something happened, you're still responsible for that cargo in that water and to replace it to the people who've bought it. So Incoterms are very, very defined. And another little story that I can say about this is that if it's there's X works, which is your non-risk whatsoever, you're basically putting your cargo on your dock and say, okay, Mr. Buyer, come in, or Mrs. Buyer, come and pick up your cargo. And we'll do the paperwork attached to the cargo, and that's where it ends. But the opposite of that is DAP, which is delivery at place. Let's just say North Bay. So you pay, I would pay from South Africa directly to North Bay. Delivery included, truck delivery inside the country. So your Incoterms are very, very important. Okay, so this is where you know where you pay the cost and the risk and liabilities for your business. There's 2 also Incoterms that covering insurance, and I'll talk about insurance afterwards. The second tool that I want to share with you is Migra's Canadian Export Guide. There's an annual fee for that. If you're exporting into different countries and you're looking to expand into different countries, that's a good one to have. But if you're constantly shipping to Australia, once you know, like a freight forwarder can help you with that one country. But if you have several different countries, this is a good tool to have. It's an annual fee, it's not a lot. And so let's just say that you're shipping to Kazakhstan. Kazakhstan will give you the embassy of Canada, will give you the restrictions of the product into the country. If you have restricted product, like what is the documentation you need to do? If you need a prior inspection prior to shipping the goods, that's another requirement that will show up here. All the documentation that is required, commercial invoice, packing slip, certificate of origin, which is in the next export documentation, the language, the currency, everything you need to know about that country and how to enter that country from the Canadian perspective, that's your tool. The other tools are knowing your export documentation. Once you've seen it from Export Guide or you're working with your freight forwarder. Okay, so the first one I've put here is called ASSURS. Okay, so this is Canadian Export Reporting System. This is the Statistic Canada, and it's called an export declaration. In other words, the document is a B13A. And to save money here, if you're working with a freight forwarder that's charging you for this document, please save yourself the fee and download, go on to the CBSA, Canadian Border Service Agency, and download that software. And it's just automatic. You can save the templates, and it's done in 5 minutes if you don't have a lot of line products in there, because the freight forwarders will cover 5 lines, but as you start adding more lines, they charge you per it. So save the fee, put it in your pocket. This doesn't cost anything, and it's very easy through tab, filling up the information, and you can have multiple users on that. It's all free and it's all electronic, and the Canada Customs has it right away. The other ones is a commercial invoice in the packing slip. Every shipment should have a commercial invoice in the packing slip. Packing slip is basically the dimensions and the weight of your goods, while your commercial invoice is your product number, product description, the HS code, which I'm going to talk about next, country of origin, and the fee, the cost of that product, line per line. While your packing list is just like, okay, it's a skid said to contain STC, said to contain this and this and this, and the skid is dimension of this and the weight of that. That's very simple. Certificate of origin, when you look into your micro export, which I'm going to talk as well with the free trade agreement. Certificate of origin is the proof of where the goods are made from. Certificate of origin is again same type of commercial invoice, but without the cost and the fees. So it's just basically your part number, your description, your HS code, and the country of origin. And certain countries like Mongolia will require to have this notarized by the Chambers of Commerce, signed in blue ink, and they do a seal. So that's how it's made, notarized, that it's made in Canada or it's made in Colombia. Like that's what it means. And that original has to be presented with the goods when it arrives into the importing country. So Mongolia, we had to do that for every single shipment. And there's many different countries that require that. I did that at Kunanagal in Toronto. I had to go myself for certain customers, but we would charge fees to the shippers for that. But if you have a Chambers of Commerce, pay your local Chamber of Commerce and save yourself the cost from paying freight forwarders for this. The second one is HS code, which is harmonized system codes. So it's an international coding system for customs. So the minimum digits that you can have is 4 dot, and there's 2 more digits, which is a 6-digit dot. And this one plays on the duties, how it goes inside of a country. So you might have products made in Vietnam, but when it comes into Canada, there will be a 4.5 duties on that, percent duties on the invoice. If there's a product that's made in Colombia, then you show that it's Colombia, then you're not paying duties on it because Canada has a free trade agreement with Colombia. And I'm going to talk about the free trade agreements shortly, but the duties will be depending on where the country is made. And so you might have like a vehicle, but depending on the country where it's made, you might have a duty percentage different. So that document is a big PDF file. And if you go again on to, you can Google harmonized system codes, Canada, or HS codes, or Canadian tariffs. You can have this free document download, and it's a really Control F for finding. If you're looking for a vehicle, then it's going to go next, and it'll give you that that code. And why am I talking about this code so importantly is because if you are fabricating, manufacturing goods, you need that code, because whoever you're selling this to, and if they decide to export that product, then they'll come to you to have it. If you don't want to search it for yourself, you can ask your customs broker as well. And if you're buying products and you don't have that on your commercial invoice, you have to go back to your manufacturer, like your whoever you bought it from, to ask that code, because it falls, if it continues to follow the cargo if it's being shipped internationally. So, which brings me to the free trade agreements. Okay, country of origin, where it's made in. So Canada, look up Canada free trade agreements. They have a lot of them. They have bilateral and they have multilateral. So basically the point of these trades agreement is removing the barriers and doing business with certain countries. So Canada has CUSMA, which was replacing NAFTA. I think everybody knows of that one. CUSMA is Canadian, US, Mexico. And if there's any products that are being made in Mexico coming to Canada, there's no duties on that, just the provincial tax that you pay on to your customs broker for that. Free trade agreement in Israel, Colombia, they also have many, many more. And multilateral is basically Canada with the Asian countries, and it includes a lot of different Asian countries. So there are very several. And if you're looking at opening up your market into a new country and they fall into that trade agreement for Canada, then that means that your client is not paying the duties, or if you're purchasing from that country, then you're not going to be paying duties. So those are the recent one is CETA. And the Canada UK. CETA is Canadian Europe Trade Agreement. So that's a brand new one since 2017, which is good. And when UK removed themselves from the EU, they then came and opened up Canada, UK with Canada. So it makes it the borders free of trading. The next one tool is the look up if you're packaging with wood, there's an international laws and regulations on how to export your wooden crates or your wooden pallets. And I've put the abbreviations there. It's Canadian Wood Packaging, CWPCA, and the other one is Canada Food International Agency, which is food, but the purpose of this is that it's heat treated the wood so it eliminates any insect that can be cross-contaminated in certain countries. And certain insects would come into a country and devastate the wood, one certain type of wood. So the international laws put these on so they eliminate any of these cross-contaminations. And when you register, you get a stamp, and it's HT.C for Canada and your number as a shipper or a production. And you get audited 3 or 4 times, depending on if you're a factory manufacturing, or just a supplier. We created our own crates at Red Path, so we had to go through that, but we only had 3. We weren't manufacturing the wood, we just bought the wood. So that's something that if you are doing that right now, look into that. And I have also a name of a consultant that can help you do a quality manual for your wood production inside of your organization when you get audited. So the other one is air, when to use air and when to use ocean freight. My quick advice on that one is that if it's a rush, go air, put it on a skid, shrink wrap it inside of if it's a cardboard box or whatever the cargo is. If it's heavy and you're scared of a damage, just like an engine, then if the wood is more, if the product's heavier than the wood, then yes, use wood packaging. But don't put a wooden crate and just boxes of full of feathers inside, because you're only paying the rate for the crate, not necessarily only the cargo. So because air freight is expensive, but it depends on the time that you require to ship it. I would say use ocean freight. You can use ocean freight for one skid. And so basically they will consolidate all different shippers in one container, which is very cost efficient if you have the time to ship it. A full container load, you have your own container, you put all your product in there. Again, more cost efficient if you have the time. For insurance, if you need insurance, you can buy insurance through your freight forwarder. They will charge you very little, but it'll just be for that shipment. However, if you're shipping a lot and you want to look into some insurance to cover your exports or your imports or your truck, you can ask for your insurance company, your business, commercial business insurance. Ask them for marine insurance freight. So that basically, if they cannot provide you that, you can ask them or ask me who are the insurance companies that will provide you the coverage of your marine insurance. And marine is not only ocean, it's everything. It's international shipping insurance. So if you don't ship a lot, go through with your freight forwarder if your Incoterm includes insurance or if you're shipping it. Hiring logistics coordinator. The first slide, I put my training in there, but I really don't suggest not to use your reception, your electrician or mechanic to do international logistics shipping, because whatever you're going to save, you're going to pay in cost and fees and time, you'll have probably paid a full-time salary, a yearly salary of a logistics coordinator. The training courses that I do strongly recommend is CIFA that you'll find in the beginning. It's online. It's very cost efficient, and it gives them the basic necessary requirements of the knowledge, what they can deal with. CITT would be CITT would be an extension of that if they're enjoying their learning. However, I see it more as an investment into your employee and also an investment into your company, because in the long run, you will be saving fees and money by having somebody that knows what they're doing, knows the laws, knows the regulations, and etc. And the Logistics Institute, another one, good contact. So that's why I put it in that slide, because you have reference contacts of what you're looking for training courses for a logistics coordinator. Working with customs broker, how to hire one. I would say that hire one that is with your freight forwarder, that will go through the the smooth procession of the shipping. So because these people, the customs broker, what they do is that you're going to be signing a power of attorney. And so basically it's giving the rights to this customs broker, to the authority to talk on your behalf. They will process all your duties and taxes with Canada Customs, and they will be able to release that cargo to you. So which brings me to working with freight forwarders and freight forwarding agents, the difference between those two. So a freight forwarder, if you hire a customs broker with your freight forwarder that you often work with, always keep 3 on your list. Okay, always work with three freight forwarders and get 3 quotes. And so who you're working with for the freight forwarder, have one of those 3 become your customs broker, because it falls into the chain line. As I said, a freight forwarder will have an office in Canada and will have a connected electronic system at the other end destination country, which is also called the same name as your freight forwarder in Canada. So to name a few, DSV, Kuehne+Nagel, Hellmann's. So those companies will have offices and employees hired by these named companies. And so they're expecting their shipments to arrive, and they're able to just continue with the streamline of the supply chain, and there's no stopping. While if you're going with a customs broker that's alone, that it's just standstill office, then they're outside of that communication line. I hope this makes sense. So basically your freight forwarder would need to get out of their communication system to a different customs broker and for them to come back. While if it's a freight forwarder customs broker, it falls into, and you can only have one at a time working for you. A freight forwarder agent, Unfortunately, I'm not a biggest fan of those. A freight forwarder is you're going to have a name of a company inside of Canada, but you're going to have a total different name of a freight forwarder inside of the end destination country. The communication system is interrupted. There's no connection between the two countries. So, for example, South Africa, for us, they went and hired a freight agent in South Africa. And it was supposed to be a DAP, which is supposed to be delivered at place in North Bay, which was our office. And when it got on the boat to the terminal in Montreal, nobody claimed it. There was no agent representing them here, and it just sat on the boat. The vessel is not obliged to notarize your customs broker. So at the end of the day, when it came to us, there was delays, there was miscommunications between the ocean's steamship line and our customs broker. And those 9 containers ended up costing us close to $25,000 US, because there was no agent, no freight forwarder receiving that information inside of our country. But earlier I spoke about the Incoterms. This was an Incoterm DAP as mentioned. So Redpath was able to return all those extra fees to South Africa because of the Incoterms coverage. If it would have been CPT, which is carrier place to Montreal port, let's just say, then we would have been liable to pay from that vessel terminal to our location, which includes the storage fees and demurrage fees. So that is why Incoterms are so important. And that is why freight forwarding, instead of freight forwarding agents, is so important to work with. It will ease up your business. The other one is freight brokers and versus owner operators. Owner operators own the assets. They own assets of trucks. They own assets of maintenance. They own assets of employees. They own assets of overhead offices, and et cetera, et cetera. And if you go to 3 owner operators, you keep the market, you have a fair market value, and you keep them honest, but always keep 3 at the same time, because freight forwarder, as if they can't make it, you have plan B and you have plan C. So make sure you always work with 3, and keep them always in the loop and sharing it. A freight broker basically does not have any assets. They have employees and they have very expensive lawyers. So what they do is they match the owner operators and exporters, suppliers just like you. And if you say, well, I need this truckload to be brought to BC, then they will find the owner operators to match you with. And the thing is that they have, and they go to the owner operators, they bargain the fee, and whatever the fee that they've bargained in, it's their commission, and they have a very big commission just sitting in there in the office. The other reason why freight broker is again communication. Okay, so when you work with an owner operator, your communication on the phone is directly with the dispatch of that transport company. While you're working with freight brokers, communication goes to 2 or 3 different people. By the time it comes back to you, it's not the same information from when the gentleman comes up at the place of delivery and tells his story to us. So they don't know what's happening. And so your communication line with the owner operators are straight and easier, smooth of understanding, and you pay them their full price for the work they actually do and the maintenance of, and they create employment as well. So again, just like freight forwarding, owner operators go for 3 quotes, keeps the fair market value. And what I forgot about freight forwarding is that ask them if their trade lane is strong. let's just say. Kunanago, for example, was not strong from Canada to South Africa, Zambia, but DSV, I've learned over the years, has a strong and easier process getting inside and outside of that country. So there's certain freight forwarders you'll find that they're very strong in certain countries and not very strong in others, but that is something as well that you can directly ask them if they're very strong in that market. The last one on here is dangerous goods and shipping. I mentioned to go through your cargo and see if you have dangerous goods in there. Okay, so basically just like the wood, heated treat wood, the training for dangerous goods and heat treated wood is if you have procurement that's buying the product, if you have people receiving the product, if you have people shipping the product, loading the product, basically touching that product, involved with that product, all of these people have to have training. Okay, so the heat treated wood, once you have your quality manual, you can train your own people, and the contact I have will certify you and your team. Dangerous goods, look up ICC. They are in Canada, all over Canada, ICC dangerous goods, and they provide training of land transport. And they also provide training for multimodal. Multimodal is for land, air, and ocean. They do it virtual training, and they can come to your location to train your team. So ICC, and yeah, they're very, and once you're certified and your company is inside of their system, you can call them with a toll-free number, and they will answer any of your questions. Very easy to work with, ICC. So for me, I will quickly glaze through these because I'm looking for you what are your facing your challenges, what are your fears, what are your frustrations, and what do you want to learn? And if I can put up some course material or some webinars that might help you to easy access. I'm not going to do a 2-hour or 1-hour course. It would just be maybe how to fill out a certificate of origin, and that's it. And then, so look at these questions, and I'm looking for your feedback, and if I can help you in that way as well. So it's on your own agenda to come back to those courses if ever you require them, or you need them to teach your employees. So this is me, and I'm going to open up for questions and answers right now. You've got my contact information here, and that's it. Thank you very much. And is there any questions?
If anybody has any questions, you could feel free to unmute yourself and you can ask Brenda, or if you feel more comfortable, you could use the text chat too.
Yeah, that was wonderful, Brenda. So interesting. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. And I personally, my own business, I don't have a product I would be exporting. It's a service. So I guess my question would be, how does services cross borders?
Yeah, it's a good question. Services, okay, once you cross the border outside of Canada, it's tax exempt. And so, but if you are in Ontario and you're working with somebody in Quebec or in BC, then your invoice will have where the service was delivered in. So Quebec tax or BC tax. But when you go outside of Canada, then it becomes an exempt fee, free tax, yeah.
So if I was providing a service which was digital online to someone in Taiwan or somewhere, then I don't pay taxes on my income for that? Or no, that's a
Your,
different
no,
thing.
your invoice. Okay, let's just
Oh,
say that.
the tax, what I'm charging them, I don't charge them taxes?
Yeah.
Okay,
So your invoice would be just your amount
yeah,
with a zero tax. Okay, but in Canada, then your invoice would be your value of your service, and then QST for Quebec sales tax amount there. If it's BC, then you would put the percentage of the BC there. So I would have in your invoicing system different levels of tax that you can choose from, and have one that's exempt tax. Because
okay.
when we would hire so it's it's exempt tax, your services.
And if I was, so across border, then the taxes are appropriate to that province
Canada.
purchasing the service. Yeah, across provincial borders.
Yes.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
But if you are selling your services in Ontario, then Ontario taxes applies to your services.
So if I'm based in Ontario, selling it to Quebec, do I charge Ontario tax and Quebec tax? Just the
No.
Quebec tax?
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
So in your
All new to
accounting
me,
system,
yeah.
you would have QST, HST, and you can speak with your accountant for that as well, or your bookkeeper. But for a service, yes, you're not charging Ontario tax on your invoice. If you're selling it to Quebec, you're using Quebec sales tax.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thanks.
My pleasure. There's a
Question in the chat. Yeah, for sure. And I apologize if I'm not saying your name right. Naflora? Sorry, go ahead and ask a question, please.
Hello, everyone. My name is Nilufar. I'm from Tard Robotics. We produce robotic toys for children, and we are producing now in China. It will be ready in January, and we want to import it to Canada. So my question is, how do we start for this process for importing to Canada?
You would need to have, first of all, you need to have their dimensions and the weight of what it will be the final product, if it is in skids or boxes or whatever. And you can go to a freight forwarder, get yourself 3 quotes, look up DSV. There's Hellmann's, just like the Miracle Whip Hellmann's, but Hellmann's, HELLAMANS. And also go to Kunanago, because you're going to be hiring. You're paying the freight for this?
Yes.
Okay, so you would hire a local, a Canadian freight forwarder that has an office in that location. You will need the actual postal code and the city in China, because there's a lot of different airports and ports there. And you need to hire a customs broker to represent you when it comes into Canada.
Okay.
And make sure that they deliver it to your location.
Okay.
But and the paperwork has to be in English.
Yes.
And having your HS code and the country of origin in the paperwork as well.
Okay. Okay. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
Anytime you need any information, let me know.
Thank you very much.
There's another question in the chat. It says, I have artwork that I want to export to the US, but shipping is not an issue. Should I get a broker?
The broker will be on your buyer's side. Whoever's receiving US in the US, they will need to have their US customs broker all set up for the product not to be stuck at the border. Because you're not the importer of record. They are as buyers.
It's just a really, it's just a small, well, it's not a big store. It's just a small in a sort of a high-end artwork area of Chicago.
Okay. Is
They
it
still
big?
need, pardon?
Is it big?
No, it's just
Oh,
a
okay.
small operation.
Okay, no, okay. And the value of it, is it like,
I don't, well, I haven't really pursued it because it sounded really complicated.
well, if
They
it
just
is,
approached me.
yeah, so if it is a small package and that's a courier size package, then it goes through customs as a low value shipment, and whoever is buying it in the United States will or may be paying duties. But you can use UPS, FedEx, DHL. I would go with the courier level shipping company, so they could.
It wasn't the shipping that I was concerned about. It was taxes and things like that. It was more
Are they buying
selling.
it?
No, it would be like on a commission kind of basis.
Okay, okay.
So it would be me, I guess they're the intermediary. It would be the sales they would take a commission and the sale would go to me. Is that viable or is that too complicated?
No, that's viable. Just ship it to them, and if they don't sell it, they can ship it to you the same way. It's kind of an exchange between Kenna and another location, just like you would do. And if they do sell it, then they give you the fee for it as an invoice, and that's income for you.
So I don't have a problem with IRS on that end.
No, because you're just shipping it to you're not right now selling it. You're just kind of like giving it to them for showing.
But if it sells,
If
well,
it
it is for
sells,
sale.
it is okay. But if it sells and they do have a buyer,
Yes.
then the money comes to you. But it's you can extend it from Kenna to them. Like, it's not a commercial at this point where when you're shipping it, it's not a commercial transaction.
Okay.
Okay. So it's only when the sale is done that it becomes a commercial transaction. But when for it to get into the country, it's not a commercial. Are you shipping it from a business name or from Kenna?
Yes. Well, I could do it either. It doesn't.
I would say
It's
for ease sake, just ship it by from Kenna.
as a kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Because it's not
I was
sold yet.
Yeah. Okay. And then, all right. I think I just was worried about, the legality of selling my artwork in the States.
Yeah. Yes, but at this point, it's not sold. You cannot declare it as a sold product if the person that's receiving it is not paying for it at that time.
Yeah, but when it's okay, I'm more concerned about when it sells. That's the point of sending it, is the sales.
Okay.
So
Well, maybe we can have another discussion of that, but
sure.
You would need to ask them a few questions in that order, because at this level, it's not a commercial transaction.
Okay.
It's only
All
if
right.
they sell it, then that's another question. But if they don't sell it, it'll come back to you just like a regular, like a mail exchange.
Yeah. Okay. It was more like a pilot that they would try it out.
Yeah.
And if they liked it, then it would become a bigger.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. You're welcome.
Does anybody else have any more questions? And if not, Brenda's contact information is here on the slide. So if any other questions maybe pop up, they can send you an email, Brenda. That's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's one thing I want to add. Jenny's on the call with us today, and Northern Ontario Export Department they have funds for new exporters, and they also have funds for exporters that are expanding their international markets. And it would cover my services for the exporters or importers that are willing to. But Jenny, maybe you can add more to that, but you can always contact Jenny and see the funds, how it would work for your business.
Thanks for the shout out there, Brenda. Yeah, absolutely. The Northern Ontario Exports Program can support anyone who is looking to expand or begin their exporting and who needs the help of experts like Brenda to really overcome some big barriers. So in the chat, if it's okay, Lori, I'm going to put our website in my email just in case anybody
Yes,
has
for sure.
questions and wants to follow up.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Thanks for that, Brenda.
You're welcome. Thank you so much. It was an honor for me to come here and help whoever that needs it. If I can save 10 years and on your business or any cost, time, frustration, I've gone through it myself. I've gone through the challenges, and if I can help you with my knowledge and my experience, well, it'll be my pleasure. It's easy for me, so I love it.
But we really appreciate you coming and sharing this information with us. And yeah, for sure, if anybody has any questions that they think of after, please reach out to Brenda. Jenny has put the contact information in there. And yeah, so thank you so much for joining us today, everybody. And thanks again, Brenda, really appreciate it.
Yes.
And if anybody doesn't know, you can use the same link to join to the next webinar. It's promoting your business on Pinterest. So I'm just throwing it out there. If anybody wants to come, they're more than welcome to. I'll just have to close this room and then go back in, but you could use the same link. So everybody have a great day, and thanks again.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Very informative, Brenda. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.